My name's Mason Roberts, and I've never been one for drama. My father used to say emotions just get in the way. They're a weakness. His name was Henry Roberts, a tough, no-nonsense man who built his business from the ground up, turning nothing into an empire. He was disciplined, sharp as a blade, and I soaked up everything he taught me quietly and completely, even though I always told myself I didn't want to end up like him. If you'd asked me 11 years ago whether I believed in fate, I'd have laughed. But here I am, caught up in a storm I never saw coming, and honestly, part of me wonders if my old man saw it all coming before I did. I married Charlotte back when we were both young. She had this spark, this warmth that lit up a room, and I felt lucky just being the guy she chose. We eventually had a daughter, Lily. I invested time, money, and heart into our family, trying my best to be the kind of husband and dad I thought I was supposed to be. Still, I could hear echoes of my father in the way I handled things, even when I didn't want to admit it. 25 years of marriage, that's a big chunk of a lifetime. There were fights, may-ups, and the usual rhythm of daily life. I never imagined how quickly all that could fall apart, or how suddenly you could realize that the life you thought was solid was hanging by a thread. And like many turning points, this one started on what seemed like just another normal day. It was August 26th. I remember that date like it's carved into stone. The heat outside was brutal. The sun was beating down on the city like it had something to prove. But inside my office, everything felt under control. I'd wrapped up a few deals, canceled some meetings, and decided to call it a day early to surprise Charlotte. Our 25th anniversary was just around the corner, September 3rd. I figured we could plan a little getaway. What I didn't know was that I was walking straight into something that would tear my world apart. When I stepped into the kitchen, I found them both there, Charlotte standing near the counter, Lily sitting at the table. They looked like they'd practiced whatever was about to happen. Neither of them spoke right away. I set my briefcase down, gave a casual hello, and asked what was going on. Charlotte pointed at the chair. "Mason, please sit," she said. Lily glanced between us like she was waiting for a performance to begin. "Dad, we need to talk." I sat down, resting my arms on the table, doing my best to stay calm. "Okay," I said, looking back and forth between them. "I'm listening." Charlotte took a deep breath and started, her voice soft, but steady. "In 8 days, we'll hit 25 years. And Mason, I need something different." She went on, saying she'd been thinking a lot about what she wanted out of life. Said the years had been fine, maybe even good, but she felt the urge to try something new. "What do you mean by something new?" I asked, my voice calm but cold. Lily jumped in. "Mom wants to open up the marriage," she said, sounding almost proud. "And I think it's a great idea." She kept going like she was quoting some self-help podcast. "Everyone's doing it now, Dad. Being physical with other people doesn't mean anything anymore. All that matters is trust," she added. That line, about trust, hit me in the gut like a slap in the face. I looked at her. "So you're saying this is just how modern couples work now?" She nodded, like she was schooling me. "You're just old-fashioned. Love today isn't about being tied down. If you really love someone, you let them explore, give them freedom." Inside, I was burning up, but I kept a calm expression on my face. I turned to Charlotte. "Is this how you feel?" She bit her lip and glanced away. "Mason, I just need something different." She said it wasn't that she was miserable, just tired of the routine. Doing the same thing, being with the same person, it's gotten boring. When she said it like that, so casually, something twisted inside me. I had the sudden urge to walk out, but I didn't. Instead, I tapped my fingers against the table, an old habit from my Army Ranger days. Count. Breathe. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you rattle. "So," I said slowly, "this is your big plan? You start dating other guys while I do what?" "Sit around and wave goodbye when you head out on your dates." Lily rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, Dad. Don't make this a thing. You can date too. Nobody's stopping you." She gave a little smirk. "Though let's be real, it might be a little harder for you. But hey, you've got apps now. You'll figure it out." They started laughing like I was some joke they'd seen online. I laced my fingers together, let out a long breath, and asked, "So is there already someone you're thinking about, Charlotte?" She paused just a moment. "It's Max," she said, barely above a whisper. "Max Reynolds. He owns that restaurant over on Maple Street." Lily leaned forward, way too excited. "Oh my gosh, Mom, your taste is amazing. He's so handsome." "Good for you," she added, like they were picking out furniture together. Something in me clenched tight. Max. Of course it was him. I'd hosted business dinners at his place more times than I could count, and now he was apparently spending time with my wife. I kept my voice level. Sounds like you two have had this worked out for a while. Then I turned to my daughter. So Lily, if Max is dating your mom, you're just okay with it? She grinned like I was being ridiculous. Obviously. Stop acting so old-fashioned, Dad. I didn't say another word. Just stood up and walked over to the sink, letting the silence stretch out between us. They looked a little thrown off by how calm I was. Charlotte, I said after a moment, my voice even. This isn't something light. You realize that, don't you? She gave a small nod but clenched her jaw. I've never been more certain about anything, she replied. I shut off the tap, dried my hands. Fine, I said. I'm in. They froze. Lily actually smiled like I'd handed her a birthday gift. Seriously? You'll go along with the open marriage? She asked. Yeah, I said. But only under one condition. Lily jumped in fast, arms folded tight. There can't be conditions. That's just you trying to control things. I make the conditions, I cut her off, looking at both of them straight on. This house is mine. That prenup your mom and I signed, my father made sure of it. So if you two want to play around, that's your business. But we're living under my roof, and the rules here are mine. If that's a problem, you're welcome to find somewhere else to live. Charlotte's eyes went wide for a second, just a flicker, but I caught it. Lily tried to shrug it off with a little laugh. Dad, come on. Legally, this is half Mom's house, too. But Charlotte raised her hand. Don't, she said to Lily, voice low. He's right. I could see Lily's tough act starting to crack. You're not really going to kick us out, are you, Dad? She asked, not so cocky anymore. I didn't answer. Just turned and walked out, leaving them to sit with that thought. Later that evening, I hovered near the kitchen, listening without being seen. Old habits die hard. I caught Lily whispering. See? He won't actually throw you out. He's bluffing. He still loves you. Charlotte didn't sound too sure. You don't know your father, she said. He's got a ruthless streak when he's pushed. Remember, he was an army ranger. Ever hear the full story about Iraq? I only know bits, and it's enough to keep me up at night. Lily scoffed. He's just a cranky old guy. Let him have his tantrum. He'll get over it. But I knew better. They had no clue what kind of man they were testing. The war had left something cold in me, something precise. I'd buried it under suits and meetings, but they'd lit the fuse. I went upstairs and let the tension simmer. The line had been drawn. Most people don't realize what happens when you push a cornered man. You'd better be ready. The next morning, I went to see my old college buddy and lawyer, Daniel Cooper. This person is sharp as a blade. I trusted him with plenty over the years. He enjoyed a good legal challenge. When I told him I wanted a postnup to lock Charlotte out of any future claims, he leaned back and asked plainly, why not just file for divorce? Too easy, I said. I want to see what they do when the consequences show up. I'm not rolling over and letting them walk on me. He gave a crooked grin. You're more cynical than your dad ever was. Okay, let's see what you've got. I clearly stated what I needed. Full ownership of the house and business, financial protection, regular health screenings, no external claims from outside relationships, and an absolute ban on outside people being in my home. Not ever. Daniel skimmed through the notes and let out a low whistle. You're going for the kill here, huh? I thought of my old man in his no-nonsense way. I'm just drawing the lines they wanted. Now they get to live by them. 3 days later, we all met at Daniel's office, me, Charlotte, Lily, and her newly hired attorney, a tall woman named Rachel. Rachel didn't hide her irritation. Her face got tighter with each page she read. By the time she hit the last clause, she tossed the papers onto the table. This says, she snapped, that if Charlotte files for divorce while this agreement is in effect, she loses all rights to alimony. She can't touch the house, can't touch the business, and no boyfriends allowed in the marital home. That includes Max. Charlotte's face hardened. Mason, this is a bit much, she said. No support at all? If you choose to be with someone else, I said, why should I continue to support your lifestyle? We had a prenup. This just updates it for your new lifestyle. Also, I added, you're on your own with your dating expenses. I'll keep covering household bills. But your little adventures? That's her tab. Lily's voice snapped. You're embarrassing her. This is disgusting, Dad. I looked her square in the eye. Your mom can do whatever she wants. You told me love isn't about money, remember? So she can handle dinner and drinks on her own. And if Max is such a catch, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to foot the bill. Charlotte drew in a breath, then said with a tight voice. Fine. I'll sign. Rachel didn't look happy. This is highly irregular, she said. Borderline unfair. I'm okay with it, Charlotte said, raising her chin like she was making a stand. He's trying to scare me, but I'm not afraid. Lily's arms were crossed so tightly I thought she might hurt herself. Mom, are you sure about this? Charlotte nodded. I'm sure. Daniel slid the documents over, and Charlotte signed them like she was drawing a battle line. For a moment, I almost respected her guts. But another part of me couldn't believe how blind she was to think she'd come out ahead in this. The next few weeks, I went into autopilot mode. At the office, everything ran like normal: deals, expansion talks, endless meetings. But something cold had woken up in me. Something calculating. And while I worked, Charlotte wasted no time jumping into her new relationship with Max. Lily had the nerve to cheer her mom on, acting like I was some kind of outdated relic. She even cracked a joke at dinner, smirking as she said, "Hey Dad, maybe it's time you tried Tinder. I heard even old people can get lucky." I kept my cool. The day of Charlotte's big date rolled around, and I decided it was time to make a little move of my own. Since Charlotte was heading out with Max, the guy who owned that upscale restaurant, I figured I'd flip the script. I reached out to his daughter, Grace. Yeah, she was 23, same age as Lily, but she was also a grown adult who could make her own choices. I'd spoken to Grace a few times at events. She knew who I was, and more importantly, she couldn't stand her dad's arrogance. She'd made that pretty clear. Seemed like she was itching for a little rebellion. So, half joking and half curious, I asked her if she'd like to join me for a charity dinner. To my surprise, she said yes. That night, while Charlotte was off playing footsie with Max, I showed up at a swanky hotel event with Grace on my arm. It was a fundraiser for veterans, something close to my heart from my time in uniform. I introduced Grace as my date, and she held her own like a pro. She wasn't some giggly college kid either. The girl could talk finance, business, global markets. I watched as folks tried to figure out what they were seeing, some amused, some confused. Didn't matter to me. What mattered was the message. If Charlotte and Lily thought I was washed up, they were in for a surprise. And yeah, word spread fast. The next morning, I walked through the front door and find Lily ready to explode. "You took Max's daughter out," she screamed, fist clenched. I took off my jacket like she wasn't even shouting. "I took a consenting adult to a charity event," I said calmly. "Meanwhile, your mom spent the night with Max at a hotel. She's free to make her own choices, just like I am." Lily's face turned red. "She's my age." I turned to her, steady. "You said age doesn't matter when it's your mom with Max. But suddenly it's a problem when it's me? That's a convenient little double standard." She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Instead, she huffed and stormed off to her bedroom like she was still 13 years old. Charlotte didn't say anything that morning. She looked pale, lips tight, posture stiff. Said she had errands, but I knew she just didn't want a confrontation. The blow-up came that weekend. I was in my chair reading over financial reports when Charlotte came in looking like she hadn't slept. Eyes red, jaw tight. Lily was right behind her, arms crossed like backup. Charlotte marched up to me. "I want to close the marriage," she said, voice sharp. "This whole thing's gone too far. It's difficult for me that you're seeing Max's daughter. I never agreed to this." I looked up at her. "You wanted an open marriage. That's what this is." She tossed a pile of mail onto the coffee table. "I'm done, Mason. I can't have my daughter witness this kind of humiliation. It's hard for me to watch my husband with someone so much younger. I made a mistake, okay? I've decided I don't want to be with Max anymore. I want to go back to the way things were. Can we do that? Just undo this whole mess." I crossed my legs slowly. "No," I said. "We're not closing anything." She blinked, thrown off. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean the agreement stands. We both have to agree to close it, and I don't." She started trembling. "You're making me feel worse," she said, her voice trembling. I shrugged. "You're the one who asked for this." Lily jumped in. "Dad, be reasonable. She said she wants out. Don't you care about her? Did you ever love Mom?" I looked at Lily, frustration boiling under the surface. "You think love is supposed to be one-sided? Where was her love when she asked me to step aside and support her choices like I was just some fool? Did either of you even stop to ask how I felt?" They didn't answer. Just stood there looking stunned. I grabbed my wallet and stood. "I've got plans," I said. "Don't wait up." Charlotte looked like she'd been hit with a wave of shock. Lily just stared, speechless. I closed the front door behind me with a firm slam. 3 days later, Lily tried to get involved again. Caught me in the hallway just before breakfast. "Mom's crying every night," she said. "She's miserable." I kept walking toward the kitchen. Miserable because her plan didn't work? Or are you just upset that you have to watch it crash and burn? Both, Lily snapped, stepping in front of me. Dad, just stop with Grace. Either close the marriage or get a divorce, but stop torturing her. I brushed past her, trying to keep the anger down. Oh, now her pain matters to you? You didn't seem too worried when your mother put me through the ringer. Or was it entertaining, watching me lose my dignity while you egged her on? She looked away. That's not fair. It was about her having freedom empowerment. Spare me, I said sharply. I'm done funding your drama. Then I turned and looked at her. Speaking of which, that car lease of yours, isn't it up soon? Who's paying to extend it? She blinked, caught off guard. You know I don't have the money, Dad. I nodded. Then I guess you'd better figure it out. Because I was done footing the bill. That included her wild credit card spending and her college tuition. She could get a job or rely on someone else, maybe Max or someone her mom's recently been spending time with. Who knows, maybe they'd feel generous. Her face went pale. Are you serious? You can't just cut me off. I'm your daughter. I set my coffee mug down slowly. You picked your mother's side. That's your choice. Now live with it. Her jaw tightened. So you're gonna make me beg? Try working, I said flatly. Ever heard of that? She stormed off, tears in her eyes, shouting, You're a monster, as she disappeared down the hallway. 2 weeks dragged by. Her bills piled up. That leased car, the student loan notices, and still no job. She mostly just sat around texting her friends, probably waiting for me to cave. She must have thought I would. But the dam finally broke. One afternoon, I came home from work and found Lily waiting by the door, furious, tears streaking her face. She shoved a letter in my face. They're going to repossess the car, she hissed. You can't do this. I need it. I can't just not go to class and ride the bus like I've hit rock bottom. I sighed, walked around her, and unlocked the front door. If a bus is beneath you, that's your problem. She followed me inside, arms flailing. Dad, you always said I wouldn't have to worry about money during school. Are you really going back on that? I turned and looked her straight in the eye. My only condition was that you respect me. You and your mother chose to put me in a difficult position instead. So yeah, I'm going back on it. Deal with it. I can't pay this stuff, she yelped. I've got like $350 in my account. I headed into the living room. Not my concern. Maybe ask Max or your mom's next partner. He might be able to help. Lily gasped. That's cruel. I gave her a cold smile. I'm just following your logic, sweetheart. Everyone's free, right? Modern? Independent? That's what you said you wanted. She slapped the arm of the couch in frustration. Why are you acting this way? A new voice cut in. Yeah, do tell. Charlotte stood there, arms crossed, eyes hard. She looked from Lily to me. Why are you punishing both of us? I turned to face her. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not rewarding betrayal. Charlotte glanced at Lily, who was practically in tears. Her voice softened. Lily, honey, go upstairs. I'll handle this. Lily glared at me one last time, then brushed past her mom and stomped upstairs. Charlotte waited until she was gone, then looked at me again. Mason, enough. You've made your point. The open marriage thing, it was a mistake. But now you're just being cruel. She's your daughter. She didn't know what she was doing. She's old enough to encourage you in your choices, I said. She can deal with what comes after. Charlotte's hands balled into fists. Fine. If that's how you're going to treat her, that's your call. But you and me, we need to talk. Civilly. She swallowed hard. I'm done with Max, okay? He's a smooth talker, but not someone I trust. He already stopped responding to me and canceled our last few dates. You won. I'm humiliated. Can we just stop this madness? Stop it how? I asked. Close the marriage, she said. Let's try to go back. Or at least build something normal again, without the random dates or the drama. I'll sign whatever you want. I clenched my jaw. 2 weeks ago, you asked the same thing. I said no. Why would anything change now? Tears welled up in her eyes. Because I can't take it anymore, she said, voice cracking. I can't stand seeing you with Grace. She's my daughter's age. It's destroying me. She wiped her cheeks. Let's just be a couple again, even if it's not perfect. I stared at her for a long moment. No, I said. You opened this door. You propped it open. We passed the point of no return. She collapsed onto the couch and covered her face. You're so hateful now, she whispered. Where's the man I married? That man died, I said quietly. The day you asked for an open marriage. And I walked away. A month passed. Lily got tired of living without a free ride and moved out. She crashed with friends, but it was rough. Charlotte stayed behind, slipping further into a kind of fog. She drifted through the house like a ghost, sometimes half-dressed, sometimes crying quietly over old photo albums. Then one day, she found me out back on the porch. Her eyes were bloodshot. "Mason," she said softly, "I need to tell you something. I've been seeing doctors. I haven't been feeling well." I looked at her closely, noticed how thin she'd gotten. Her shoulder bones stuck out like they hadn't before. "Doctors?" I asked. She nodded, taking a shaky breath. She stood there, red-faced, and admitted it straight out. "I received some bad news from the doctor," she muttered, ashamed. "I got it from Max." I could see how much it embarrassed her to say that out loud. "I'm on meds now, it's treatable. Still, it's humiliating. So I hope you're satisfied. You got your revenge." Something inside me shifted, maybe guilt, maybe just pity, but I kept my tone steady. "I'm not happy about it, Charlotte. This is just the fallout of your decisions." "You think I planned for this?" she snapped. "You agreed to the open marriage." "Yeah," I said. "And you quickly moved on to someone else who gave you attention." A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away like it burned. "Fine. You're angry with me. Just make sure you're being careful with your girlfriend. Health should always come first." I looked past her, toward the fence line, anywhere but at her face. "Grace is not some fling. But thanks for the warning." She stared at me, her voice shaking. "You're heartless." I didn't answer. She spun around and stormed off the porch, leaving me there with the wind brushing through the trees. A part of me felt sorry for her, watching her struggle. But another part just kept thinking, she did this to herself. About 3 weeks later, Lily came crashing back through the front door like a hurricane. I was in the kitchen going through emails when she stomped in, her voice shaking. "I've got overdue loans, Dad. I can't pay them off. You have to help." I didn't even look up. "No, I don't. I told you already, I'm not your wallet anymore." She started pacing like a caged animal. "Mom's broke. She can barely cover her rent, let alone help me. Max disappeared. She's got no one to ask. Where am I supposed to go?" I finally set my phone down and met her eyes. "You're an adult now. Figure it out." Her jaw clenched. "You'd let your own daughter drown in debt? You'd ruin my life just to make a point." I shook my head. "You trashed your own credit, not me. You made fun of me and sided with your mom, as if I didn't understand what was going on. Well, I'm done funding the show." She stormed up to me, like she was about to say something harsh. My body tensed. "Don't," I said low. "Don't even try it. I've been more than patient with you. If you're that desperate," I added, "maybe talk to someone who can help you. Or maybe focus on a more stable job, rather than whatever you've been doing lately. And if your friends won't loan you anything again, not my problem." She said the words to me with such bitterness. I'll remember this. When you're old and need someone to take care of you, don't expect anything from me. I raised an eyebrow. "I'm not worried. I've already planned for retirement. I won't need anything from you." Her chest was heaving. She turned sharply and stormed off again. A few minutes later, the front door slammed behind her. And just like that, gone. The weeks that followed were quiet, but not in a peaceful way. Charlotte started fading like an old photograph. She looked thinner by the day, worn out, barely hanging on. She'd shuffle around the house in her pajamas, sometimes crying over old photo albums, like she was grieving a life she'd thrown away. Now and then, she'd try to reach out. "Mason, can we talk? Or maybe I can cook us dinner, and we just talk things over?" I never responded. My heart was with Grace now. At first, Grace had just been part of me acting out, making a point. But somewhere along the way, she became something real. She had drive, ambition, heart. She was building her modeling portfolio, always chasing the next step. She never judged me. She asked about my time in Iraq, and when I finally opened up, she just listened. No twisted words, no weaponizing it later. Just listened. One evening, while we were sipping wine at her place, she looked at me and said softly, "I'm pregnant." Time froze. "How far along?" I asked, chest tightening. 7 weeks, she replied. "It's yours. I want to keep it." Shock, worry, hope, guilt. It all hit me at once. "You're sure?" I asked. She nodded. "Didn't plan it. But I'm ready, and I hope you are too." I tried to keep my face straight, but deep down, I wanted this. A second chance to do fatherhood better. Without resentment. Without drama. "Okay," I said finally. "We'll figure it out." She looked relieved. "Thank you. I know it's complicated. I didn't start this to get revenge on my dad." The mention of Max tightened my jaw, but I let it go. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "Let's focus on us." And the baby. Later that week, when I got home, Charlotte was slouched on the couch watching reality TV. She muted it the second she saw me. "Where were you?" she asked dully. "With Grace," I said, heading upstairs. "Mason," she said. Her tone had shifted. "I'm sorry for all of it, but we need to talk about what comes next. Can we close the marriage or just divorce? I can't keep doing this limbo." I stopped halfway up the stairs and turned back. "If we get divorced, you walk away with next to nothing. You know that." She gave a sad nod. "I know, but maybe that's still better than living like this." I looked at her closely. She looked like a ghost, thinner, paler, eyes sunken. For a second, I saw the young Charlotte I married all those years ago. A tiny ache surfaced, but it didn't last long. "We'll talk about it," I said coolly, then headed upstairs without another word. 7 months later, Grace gave birth early. Our baby boy, Dylan, came into the world a little ahead of schedule, but healthy. That whirlwind of becoming a father again took over my life completely. Charlotte and Lily faded into the background. I started stepping away from the office more often, letting my senior managers handle things so I could focus on Grace and the baby. A few weeks after Dylan was born, I proposed. I wanted him to grow up in a real, stable home. Grace said yes. We kept the ceremony private and simple, just the way we both liked it. I asked for a prenup, and she didn't hesitate to sign it. Part of me chuckled, realizing I was starting to sound a lot like my father, but I also saw now he wasn't wrong about protecting what mattered. Still, Charlotte lingered in my thoughts every now and then. One night, she called out of the blue. Her voice was weak, kind of scattered. "Mason," she whispered, "I think I made a mistake. I don't feel well. I need to see you." I cut her off. "Charlotte, if it's an emergency, call your parents. Or an ambulance. I have a newborn. I can't be your fallback anymore." She went quiet for a few seconds. Then I heard her start to cry. "I hate you," she sobbed, then hung up. That was the last time we ever spoke on the phone. A few weeks later, I filed for divorce. Told Daniel to push it through quickly, quietly. No drama, no drawn-out battle. He handled it like a pro. Charlotte signed without a fight. Maybe she was just done. She left soon after. I assumed she went back to her parents, but I didn't ask. I poured all of myself into Grace and Dylan, determined to start fresh. As for Lily, I heard from someone that she'd picked up a job flipping burgers at a fast food joint. One day, out of curiosity, I stopped by that same McDonald's. I didn't say anything, just watched from the side. She didn't see me. She was busy behind the counter, moving fast, hair tied back, face a little flushed. But she looked okay, better than the last time I saw her. Maybe hard work was teaching her something life hadn't before. I walked out with my burger, never saying a word. A small part of me was proud. She was starting to stand on her own, but we were still miles apart. I wasn't going to chase her down. 6 years passed. Dylan turned into a happy, curious little boy, always bouncing around. Grace and I built something solid, peaceful. I never reached out to Charlotte or Lily again. Sometimes I thought about it. Mostly, I didn't. Now and then, I'd hear a passing update. Lily was working somewhere else, renting a place, paying down debts. Good for her. That's exactly what she needed. My money had only ever made things worse. Then one Saturday morning, the phone rang. I was in the living room with Dylan, helping him sort through crayons and paint. Grace was outside, sipping coffee in the sunshine. I looked at the caller ID and froze. Charlotte's father. We hadn't spoken since the divorce. I answered. "Hello." There was a pause. Then, in a low voice, he said, "Mason. Charlotte passed away last night." My chest tightened. "What? How?" "She'd been staying with us. Her health wasn't great. That infection she caught years ago, it never really cleared. She was in and out of the hospital for months." He exhaled. "Last night, she just didn't wake up." I stood there, gripping the phone, my throat dry. I'm sorry for your loss," I said quietly. The words felt too small. "Are you okay?" I asked. He gave a tired sigh. "We'll manage. I just thought you should know." "Thank you," I said. He didn't say anything else. Just hung up. I slowly lowered the phone. Dylan was still coloring, carefully shading in a paper airplane. Outside, Grace was humming softly, bathed in the golden light of morning. And I thought of Charlotte, her last days, her sickness, the years of anger and sadness. I imagined her whispering my name in the dark, in pain, maybe in regret. A flood of emotion swept over me. Pity, guilt, bitterness. but mostly the heavy truth that some things, once broken, just stay broken. I ruffled Dylan's hair gently. He looked up, beaming. Dad, can I show you something? Sure, I said, pushing down the ache in my chest. Show me.